In this video, I want to talk about why you are exhausted even though you continue to try. And this could mean trying in business, this could mean trying in life, this could mean trying with fitness, trying with your relationship and your woman. I mean this in all walks of life, right? I want to talk to you about why you're exhausted even though you continue to try. There are some people that try and trying gives them energy, and the energy usually comes from the result, and usually it's a positive result. For example, I try to stay consistent in it. Just for example's sake, if I try to stay consistent in the gym and I start seeing gains, or somebody compliments me on my physique, or they say I've lost weight, then that gives me energy, it gives me positive reinforcement, and it helps me continue with going to the gym because I've received a positive feedback loop, right? If I take this action, said result happens, and then I get the positive reinforcement that comes from it, and then that positive reinforcement creates a dopamine, and I want to repeat that cycle all over again, hence then I continue it, right? But you see, with life, one of the reasons why I myself got to a place where I was exhausted, even I'm exhausted right now, I'll be honest with you, after continuously trying, is because that positive reinforcement isn't there, or that positive reinforcement would happen once in a blue moon. For example, in my own personal life, like if I take you guys way back, the first business I ever started, it wasn't even a business. Like I didn't even my brain didn't even understand business at this time. It was a blog called Growth Nation, where I would write personal development blogs, and I would post them on Snapchat, and I would post them on Instagram. You know, where else? I would post them on TikTok, and just get people to read. I get people to subscribe, and this was before I even understood what an email list was. I didn't know what email marketing was. I just knew that I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I had read Think and Grow Rich and some of these other books, 48 Laws of Power, and I wanted to share this knowledge with other people. And at this current moment in time, I wasn't comfortable with putting my face on camera. I wasn't making YouTube videos. I wasn't making TikTok videos as like me on the screen. The TikTok videos were faceless and they were voiceovers, right? So yeah, my only way of actually communicating a message was through writing. And in school, I used to write a lot. I was very good at writing. I was in top set for English. I was top 3 best at English in my year. If not top 3, top 5. If not top 5, top 10. But I'm gonna say top 3 to top 5. There wasn't many people that were better than me, and I don't mean that from like an egotistical sense. Like it was actually facts, great grade wise. So I just said, yeah, let me start a blog, and then I was using Substack, and Substack introduced this way of getting paid through your writing, which was paid subscribers. And I already had around between 3 to 600 emails, people that had subscribed to Growth Nation. So I said to myself, oh, imagine if I can get some of these people to pay me £10 a month for my blogs. I did the math and I was like, mate, I can actually make some money off of this. So I said, cool. I turned my free subscriptions into paid subscriptions. I either did that, or I had an opportunity for somebody to either subscribe for free or subscribe for £10 a month. And nobody subscribed. None of my free subscribers converted to paid subscribers. I think maybe I only got like 1 or 2. When I would get new subscribers, they wouldn't be paid subscribers, they would just be free subscribers. And then over time, it turned into this job almost, where I was like, I don't enjoy writing anymore because I'm trying to get people to pay me and it's just not working. And the reason why writing at first, in terms of writing the blogs, was easy for me to continue with was because I received that positive reinforcement, which I spoke about earlier. I would write a blog, I'll post on Snapchat, somebody would read it and they'll say, Aaron, this was very good, this was informative, I learned a lot. So that gave me the positive reinforcement to continue writing blogs. But now and that was my aim, right? So in that sense, my aim was achieved. But now when I had turned the paid subscribers on, my aim has now shifted. My aim is now, how can I make money from my subscribers? And now I'm trying to do that. And because I never received the paid subscribers, the positive reinforcement loop was a negative reinforcement loop. It was, instead of you spend time writing a blog, you post a blog, somebody reads it and tells you that it's good. It turned into, you spend time writing a blog, you post it, somebody reads it or nobody reads it, and you don't get paid. So the aim or the goal was never achieved. So then me trying to actually get paid started to become very exhausting. And then throughout this process, I didn't enjoy writing anymore. And for that reason, I stopped the blog completely. I said, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. My next business after that, obviously I'm not going to walk you guys through every single business I did because that would be super boring. But the businesses that I had done after was a marketing agency where I worked with my good friend Hazaifa. We worked on a business called Brilliant. We was coached and mentored by the same mentor called Jazz Rose. I had a beauty coaching consulting business after called Beauty Launch, where I worked with beauticians, helping them grow their business. I worked with beauty educators as well. After that, I went through like a quarter life crisis. I didn't know what business I wanted to do. I just knew I didn't want to do that business. Then I started a mini marketing agency again. It was called VSL IQ. It was a cross between media and marketing. We was just gonna film VSLs for high quality VSLs for clients. Sorry, my throat's starting to get a bit dry. But yeah, actually, let me get some water quickly. One sec, guys. But yeah, as I was saying, I had a mini quarter life crisis. Didn't know what business I wanted to run, so I tried to launch something called VSL IQ, where we film high quality VSLs for clients. And I quickly realized I didn't want to do that because I had one client and she didn't memorize her VSL script. She said that she did, but she didn't. And the VSL came out absolutely poor. And then I realized, you know what, my quality of work for the client is heavily dependent upon the client's ability to memorize their script. And I just said, no, this is because it's going to create more headache in the editing process, and I'm not doing this anymore. And then after that, I went into coaching and consulting for women, helping women with their dating lives. And then now I help men today, right? So, and there was many ventures in between the ventures that I've just mentioned to you guys. But I mentioned these things to say to you that throughout all of these ventures, in my eyes, they failed, right? And they failed because the intent behind them was never achieved. Were they good experiences? Yes, because I learned a lot, and it's made me into the person I am today. It's made me into the businessman that I am today. It's allowed me to learn all the lessons that I currently know today. So I'm grateful and thankful in that aspect. But in the end, if I just call a spade, those ventures all failed, right, for one reason or another. And now, to link it back to the actual title of the video, why you're exhausted even though you're trying, I realized that throughout all of these ventures that I had created at these times, this is between the ages of 18, that was my first ever venture, which was the blog I spoke to you guys about, up until right now, 24, right? I realized that all of the ideas that I had business-wise throughout those times, they were great ideas. If you was to put these ideas on paper, these ideas were great ideas. However, the reason why I got so exhausted whilst trying was because my own personal identity had hit a ceiling. So, for example, let's say the business is an 8 out of 10 idea. And in order to execute this business, you need to have a minimum identity level of a 6 out of 10. I was operating at a 3 or 4 out of 10 identity wise. So no matter what I would do, I don't want to say nothing would work, because I would still get results here and there, but things didn't work the way that I wanted it to work because of my identity level. in comparison to the idea level. The idea level was always good. The minimum the identity level that I was supposed to hit, I just never ever hit it. My identity was always lower than where it needed to be in order to actually execute and fulfill successfully on the idea. And I didn't realize this at the time. I was just stuck in a cycle of trying to make this work, trying to get a client to pay me, trying to run this webinar, trying to make good content, trying to go viral, trying to book calls via the DM, trying to create a good converting landing page, just trying so much. But I never ever really hit the consistent results that I wanted to hit because my identity just didn't match the identity level that was required in order to get a specific or consistent results in said area. And I wanna get you as the viewers to think about this as well. The reason why you might be exhausted right now, even though you're trying, is because you just aren't the person, or you just aren't the type of person that's able to get it done. Like, if I just say it as black and white as it is, right now you're not the type of person that's able to get it done. And funny enough, every single person in this world can apply that to themselves one way or another, because we have our current lives and our current realities that we live, and we are always forward thinking. There's a version of ourselves that we see, and there's a version of our lives that we know could potentially be true, right? But ourselves and the version of ourselves that we know we could be, those are two different beings. So we consciously and unconsciously know that we aren't who we could be, and right now we aren't who we should be, because if we were, we would have that forward thinking result that we wish we had. Like a fat person might wish or see themselves as being in shape. A broke person might see themselves as being rich and financially successful. Like, there's always this thing that we're looking forward to, and we are aware that we're just not that thing yet, because if we did, we would have those results. And for you, for me as well, I'm talking to myself making this video, the reason why we just don't have what we want right now is because we're not matching the identity level that's required in order to create that level of results in our own personal lives. And without realizing this, the effects that happen is pure exhaustion, stress, tiredness. You want to give up. Some people start blaming other people. Some people start blaming other forces and saying, oh, this person, that person, this family member, this is my workplace. Sometimes even blaming God. Been there as well. Like, and the thing is with me, I'm very resilient. Very, 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 very resilient. However, each failure that I've had in the process of trying, whilst my identity hasn't matched the required identity level, like, my mind starts to decay almost. Resilience is always there because I'm gonna wake up and I'm just gonna try anyway. But don't get me wrong, there's days where I'll wake up and I'm just like, what is the point of all of this? Why am I even doing this? What is the point of even trying if you know that you're not gonna get the results? You've tried for so long, you didn't get what you wanted, so now you no longer have the motivation to try, because you saying to yourself, if I try, it's not gonna happen anyway. So you just like, fuck it, why am I even doing this anyway? You know? So I feel like identity is so important, and it's one of those things that we hear about. It's almost like I don't want to say it's a buzzword because it's not used super frequently, but if you do search on YouTube, you will see creators and people that have made videos based around the idea and concept and philosophy of the identity, you know. Not gonna say Flumsy. Nero talks about was it? And operating in a new frequency. You know what I'm saying? Operating as your new self. You have your old frequency and your new frequency, your old identity and your new identity. You know, you want to start living a life where you operate in your new frequency, which is operating as your ideal self, and how that version of you would do things. You know, I was actually reading this book, and I need to continue reading this book, but there's one thing that I do remember. He talks about how your emotions, in the process of trying to shift your identity and trying to become the person that's actually required to get the job done, it's your negative emotions that keep you latched onto your current reality. For example, if let's say you're trying to make money and then it's never worked before, and then you try again, and it creates that same level of that same negative emotion, which might be sadness, it might be frustration, it might be anger. I remember Nero saying that those specific emotions are the things that latch you onto your current reality. It feeds your current reality, it reinforces your current reality, and it makes it harder to change. Rather, you would want to be in a situation where, let's say you do try to make money and things don't go the way that you want it to go, you're frustrated, you're angry, depressed, and whatever, but you then not suppress those emotions, but you don't want to give those emotions so much power over you, because then you want to be able to doing that allows you to step into your new frequency. Because if not, you're holding on to the emotions of your old frequency, which keeps you in that reality. Of course, watch a Nero video, because he'll be able to explain it a lot better than I can, because it's his own concept. But yeah, me recently, I've been pretty exhausted, and it's been an identity issue for a very long time. And I think one of my issues have been identity versus ego. Ego says you can get it done, no, you can do this, you can get and that's true. Part of me still believes it, but then the identity side of it is who you actually are. You know what I'm saying? Your identity is made up of your thought patterns, your emotional patterns, your physical patterns, like the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. And for me, my ego and identity were constantly conflicting. Don't get me wrong, your ego can actually boost your identity, because your ego will say to you, you are that guy, and then your identity starts to be influenced by the ego, and then you start to act like that person that can actually get the results, and then you get the results. But in my personal case, the ego and the identity were operating against each other for a very long time. The ego is saying one thing, but the identity and the results are saying the other thing. Then in your mind, it's like, who do I believe? Who am I? And then you don't even know who you are anymore. And then you forget about even focusing on yourself. You're just focusing on the results. And because you don't know who you are anymore, and because you're not getting the results that you want to get, mentally, you're everywhere. You're everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And you get to a place where you're almost losing yourself, and the only thing that's really keeping you sane is your fixation on the end goal, which might be a 10k a month, it might be a 20k a month, it might be getting rich, it might be whatever your own personal goal is. That fixation might be the thing that's saving you, and that's how it was in my case. And now, yeah, I think to combat this identity problem, being exhausted for so long whilst trying for so long, I think that one of the things that I've been implementing as of recently is the idea of an alter ego. You've probably heard about this, because I thought about this for myself, and I said, who am I? And I really looked deeply into this, and I looked deeply into myself, and I said, like, who is Aaron? What's Aaron like right now? What do I think? What am I hiding? My insecurities, the things I'm worried about, the things I'm concerned about, the things that I think about that no one's aware of, right? My limitations, my lack of competency in specific areas. All of these things that I hold on to on a subconscious level, and perhaps these things have been holding me back as well. I thought about all of these things, and I just said, I want to let go of these things. I want to let go of these things. And my first approach was, okay, cool. And it was the most logical approach. My first approach was, all right, let's assess all of these things that I think I should let go of. All right, it might be being able to speak better, being able to communicate better, being able to be consistent in everything, consistent in reading, consistent in writing, consistent in going to the gym, consistent in literally all walks of my life right now, consistent in eating, consistency in eating well, insecurities, literally everything, right? I would map out each component and then I would zoom in onto that component and say, okay, cool, what's actually the matter? Where is this coming from? How do I fix this? But then the problem with that, in my own personal case, is I end up with a list of problems, with a list of sub problems that all need to be fixed. And then it's like, which one do I attack first? And then my issue would also be, I would try to attack all of them at the same time, which would then either leave me in the same place or leave me worse off than I was before. So I just said, this is not working, and I tried to do this for so long, and it just wouldn't work, because I knew who I wanted to be. I knew what I wanted to change, but I just couldn't change it, and it just wasn't working. So I already knew about the idea of the alter ego, but it became more prominent now because it seemed like the only way out for me. And I said to myself, cool, just create another version of myself, a newer version of myself that doesn't struggle with these issues. He doesn't have these limitations. He doesn't have these insecurities. He doesn't have these negative thought patterns. He doesn't have these negative emotional patterns. He's not overthinking. He's not stressed. He's not depressed. He's not nothing. The only thing that's in front of this version of me is the task ahead, and that's what's getting done. And cool. There's a movie called Planet of the Apes, right? Caesar. Sick character, in my personal opinion. And for me, that was the name. That was the name that I gave the other side of me. The version of me that doesn't have these limitations that Aaron has, you know. And stepping into this alter ego allowed me to just let go of all of the things that I'm just not competent in right now. And I'll even tell you guys, before filming this video, I hadn't filmed a YouTube video in 2 months. I tried to film a YouTube video yesterday, the day before, and today, and it just wasn't working. I'm stuttering, I'm rambling, I'm saying stuff that don't even make sense. I'm just like, what am I doing? So I deleted them. And then before I filmed this video right now, I did people say it's like a ritual. It's not a ritual, but it's like your thing that you do to step into the other side of you. And for me, some people blink and it just turns on. Some people, they have like a thing where they might put on a specific hoodie just to get some work done, and like they step into that mindset. You know, I got a friend, Hazefa. Shout out Hazefa. He tends to do things like that. I've seen him do it a couple times. But for me, what I did is I put on some meditative music. It's just focus music. It's literally just focus music. I usually do work to this music. And then I imagine myself in a room. And in this room, this is where Aaron is. This is where all of Aaron's problems reside. Relationship problems, life problems, it might be financial problems, it might be health problems, things that people have said, insecurities, things that happened a long time ago that I still think about. They're all in this room, things that my family members have said. It's all in this one room, but there's a door. And when I step through that door and I shut the door, it's just me and the task ahead. And then that's where Caesar is allowed to come out. That's where Caesar comes out. It sounds dark. It's not even dark. But that's where Caesar comes out. And I do this mental exercise because it allows me to leave all of the things that were holding me back in the other room. I can't even hear it anymore. And now there's this version of me that just gets it done. There's no overthinking. It's just me and the task, and it's getting done. And I did that just before I did this video. And funny enough, I'm happy that I got this video done, because if I didn't do what I did, I would still be stuttering. I would still be, then I would go upstairs and I'd be like, I'm not filming a YouTube video today. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll try again tomorrow. I'm just like, no, that's what Aaron would say. That's not what Caesar would say. And you know what? Even saying it out loud, it sounds cringy, but sorry guys, it sounds cringy, but it gets the job done. 50 Cent had an alter ego. When he was on the streets, when he was on the roads, when he was handling situations, it was 50 Cent. But then when it came to the business, he was and his family, he was Curtis Jackson. Same thing with Eminem. When he first started rapping, you know, he was the only white boy, timid, insecure, stuttering. But then when he came on the stage, he was Slim Shady. Slim Shady had left all of the insecurities, all of the problems, all of the worries at home, but right now it's Slim Shady, and Slim Shady is going to handle the situation at hand. There was someone else, Kobe. Was it Kobe? I think Kobe. Yeah, it was Kobe Bryant that did it as well. It was Kobe Bryant, and it was the Black Mamba. He would say that whenever he got onto the court, that was the Black Mamba. Sometimes people will be chanting Kobe Bryant, and he's not even really hearing it because he doesn't identify as that in that current moment. So there are people in the world, and Rob the Bank. I can't. His name isn't Rob the Bank, but his social media is Rob the Bank. But I can't remember his actual name. I watched his YouTube video yesterday or the day before, but he talks about this concept as well. Sometimes instead of trying to change every single part of yourself, just step into the version of yourself that can already do it. And then once you do that and you practice doing it, over time it just blends in with who you are, you know. And that's my aim right now with my current alter ego, is to use it so much that it blends into, that I just become that version of me, that it blends into who I once was, and then takes over who I once was. So I no longer need to worry about those issues because they don't exist no more. That was with my old identity. It's just not who I am anymore, you know. So instead of trying to fix all of our problems, just become the version of you that doesn't have those problems, and become the version of you that can immediately fix those problems, and the version of you that isn't fazed by those problems. Caesar's not. Aaron is. You know what's funny? My name is actually Aaron. That's how my mom and my grandma say my name. But yeah, people say Aaron, people say Aaron, people say Aaron, people say whatever they want to say. But I'm my mom's son anyway. But yeah, I think that's all I want to say for this video. On this channel, I'll just keep it real. I'll just talk to you guys about certain things that I think about. But yeah, in this video, I hope I gave you guys some insight into why you're exhausted even though you continue to try. It can be a skill issue. Of course, that's a whole separate video. But in the context of the conversation that we've just had, the chances are is you probably have an identity issue. And you can probably solve this through the concept and philosophy of an alter ego. But yeah, that's enough from me. I'll see you guys on the next video.